All right, diving in today. Getting deep, folks.
Deep dive. Love it.
We're tackling a big one. A question that's been around forever, right? Like, who are we really? What makes us us?
The age-old question of identity.
Exactly. And you guys, the listeners, sent in some awesome stuff. Articles, quotes, all sorts of things about how much of our identity is actually, like, unique to us versus how much is, well, kind of shaped by everything and everyone around us.
Nature versus nurture, the classic debate.
Yeah, exactly that. But we're going beyond just nature versus nurture today. This is going to get, well, a little more
We're
philosophical.
going deep into the illusion of the self.
Ooh, I like that, the illusion of the self. Okay, so to kick things off, maybe we should start with the idea that, like, we aren't born with this solid sense of me,
Oh,
right?
yeah, exactly. It's not like we pop out knowing who we are. It's a process. We
Yeah.
start as this, blank slate.
Right, blank slate. So how does that blank slate, become a person with an identity? What are the first marks we make on that slate?
Well, think about a newborn baby. The earliest experiences are all about, physical sensations. Feeling hungry, feeling cold, feeling touched.
Basic needs, basically.
Right. And as babies experience these things over and over, they start connecting those sensations to their body. It's like, okay, this feeling of hunger, it's happening to me, this body.
It's that first, like, separation between me and not me.
Exactly.
Just me think about, like, how kids get so attached to their toys. Like, it's an early way of defining themselves through stuff outside of themselves.
It is. And what's fascinating is that doesn't really go away. We just get a little more complex about the things we choose to identify with as we grow up. It's not just toys anymore. It's our possessions. It's our jobs, our achievements.
Our relationships, even.
Absolutely. All these external things, they become all tangled up in our sense of self.
Right. And it's not just the stuff we choose either, right? Like the stuff we're born into, like where you're from, your family, your culture, even stuff like political beliefs sometimes.
Yeah.
Where they feel like that gets passed down or absorbed just from being around certain people.
You're absolutely right. It's like we inherit a whole set of like prepackaged identities based on just, where we happen to be born, who we happen to be raised by.
Okay, so if we're all basically following this like same pattern of building our identity from all this outside stuff, I mean, does that mean we're all kind of part of like one giant collective mind? Or are we still individuals? Like, where's the line between those two?
Ooh, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the excerpts you sent in, they bring up some really interesting ideas about that. One thing that stuck out to me was how much we tend to define ourselves by things that invite comparison.
Hmm?
Wealth, looks, skills, even our opinions.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like this constant measuring up.
Exactly. And it's that comparison that can lead to, well, a lot of not so great feelings.
Totally. Jealousy, envy, or like that feeling of being better than someone, which is messed up, but we've all felt it, right?
It's human nature.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what the excerpts are getting at. They connect this whole comparison game back to the ego.
Okay, the ego. So like, how does that fit in here?
Well, think of it like this. The ego is basically that part of us that's all about me, myself, and I. It's our thoughts, our beliefs, our desires, all wrapped up in this idea of a separate self. And the problem is when we get too attached to that ego, that's when we start suffering,
Because we're always comparing ourselves to others.
Yes, exactly. We're always looking for validation from outside, measuring ourselves against everyone else and feeling like we're not enough when we don't measure up.
Which is like pretty much all the time, right? No
Yeah.
matter who you are.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, if everyone is stuck in this ego trap, is like real individuality even a thing?
That's the big question. Some of the sources even suggest that, maybe we're just a collection of memories and influences, shaped by everything around us, no real self at the core.
Whoa. Okay, so if the ego is the problem, how do we like get rid of it?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Several of the excerpts talk about this idea of like dissolving the ego. Like it's the key to, ending suffering.
Dissolving the ego. Easier said than done.
Right. It's a journey. It's not like you just snap your fingers and poof, no more ego.
Hmm.
But the excerpts suggest that practices like mindfulness and self-awareness, they can help us detach from those external things that we've mistaken for our true selves. you know?
So like looking inward instead of always outward.
Exactly. It's about like shifting your focus from all that external stuff
Yeah.
to a deeper understanding of who you are beyond those labels.
Wow. So if we could like strip away all those layers, all that external stuff, all that ego, what would even be left? Like what's the core of you without all that other stuff?
Now that's the ultimate mystery, isn't it?
Right.
And maybe there's no one answer, but the beauty of it is by questioning who we are, by loosening the grip of that ego, we open ourselves up to new possibilities, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Like letting go of who we think we are so we can discover who we really are.
Exactly. And it makes you think, doesn't it? If our identities are this like fluid thing, always changing, always influenced by the world around us, then think about how much potential for change we all have.
That is a mind-blowing thought. So to wrap things up for our listeners today, we've gone from this blank slate, right,
Yeah.
to like full-on transformation. It's incredible.
It is. It really highlights how much power we have to shape our own identities, to let go of the limitations of the ego
Yeah.
and discover who we might become.
So much to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Keep those questions coming and keep exploring.
Keep diving deep.
See you next time.